Hi, I'm Lewis Robertson from Alcove Productions, and the other day I got to do something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I was actually able to take my Hairball Audio 1176 Revision A unit that I built, as well as my Warm Audio WA76 Revision D clone 1176, and pit them directly against two vintage Rev A 1176's and two vintage Rev D 1176's. So admittedly, these are compressors that I have used all interchangeably and all together for years in tracking sessions. And I've used them enough to know that the differences are very minimal. They're all 1176's. There's definitely a Rev A vibe. There's definitely a Rev D vibe. And both of the compressors, the newer compressors, capture the vintage vibe very well. I do notice that the Warm Audio tends to retain a little bit more high-end than the vintage Rev Ds, but I actually find that works better in a lot of more modern mixes anyways. So I set out to answer one question that I've had burning for a long time, and that question is, can I get the same exact tones out of my newer units that I get out of the vintage units? Do I really need to go and spend $5,000, $15,000 on a vintage unit, or are these units doing the exact same thing for me? So I'm extremely excited that I was actually able to answer that question for myself in this day with these compressors. So the way that I went about it is I didn't want to be too fair to the newer compressors, right? We're not trying to have a fair shootout. We're trying to decide whether or not the new compressors can do what the old compressors can. So I started by getting the tones that we wanted on the vintage compressors. And then it was up to the new compressors to do that exact same thing that the old compressors had just did, or just done. So I first started matching by ear, just A being on the console back and forth until I got it matched pretty closely. And then I actually flipped the phase on the newer one and played the new one and the old one side by side until I really got all of the settings nulling out pretty well. Now, one really important thing that I discovered when we were doing this was it looked like I was pushing the new units a lot harder than I was pushing the older units. And this is because of the age of the VU meters, the age of the components inside. So I think a lot of times when we're talking about there being more mojo in some of these older units, it's quite possible that we're just pushing these older units harder without really noticing that we're pushing them because the meters aren't responding quite the same. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen to all of these different audio files. You'll hear new against old for Rev A and Rev D. You'll also hear old against old because we had two of each of the vintage units. Try to make sure that we're not just hearing a difference between one unit to the next. So we're going to take a listen to that. I'll put up labels on the screen so that you can see when we're switching from one to the other without me blabbering and interrupting and getting your ears all messed up. So I'm going to play these, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
When will you set my heart free? When can we live what's meant to be? I close my eyes and I hear your voice. It warms me up, then I have no choice. You're my ritual, so habitual. And every time we say goodbye, it breaks my heart, I wanna cry. Oh, way, oh, oh, way, oh. When will you set my heart free? When can we live what's meant to be? I close my eyes and I hear your voice. It warms me up, then I have no choice. You're my ritual, so habitual. And every time we say goodbye, it breaks my heart, I wanna cry. Oh, way, oh, oh, way, oh. When will you set my heart free? When can we live what's meant to be? I close my eyes and I hear your voice. It warms me up, then I have no choice. You're my ritual, so habitual. And every time we say goodbye, it breaks my heart, I wanna cry. Oh, way, oh, oh, way, oh. When will you set my heart free? When can we live what's meant to be? I close my eyes and I hear your voice. It warms me up, then I have no choice. You're my ritual, so habitual. And every time we say goodbye, it breaks my heart, I wanna cry. Oh, oh, oh.
All right. Now, I don't know if you guys are as excited as I am about these audio files, but to me, I can't really hear a difference between the Rev A units and the Hairball unit. To me, the two Rev A units sound more different than the Hairball unit sounds from either of them. Kind of splits the difference between those units. And those units are known in the studio as being very closely matched units for two vintage units. The Rev Ds definitely sound a lot darker than the Warm Audio unit, but not in a way that you couldn't compensate for a little bit with EQ. But honestly, I don't think I'd want to compensate. I like the added fidelity that the Warm Audio unit delivers. I don't think I'm losing any vibe or mojo with the Warm Audio unit that I'm getting from the vintage Rev Ds. So let me know what you think. Go ahead and comment below. Tell me what you think between all of the units, what you liked, what you didn't like. And we're going to have a lot more great content coming on this channel. A lot of educational stuff, a lot of in-studio things. So go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.